We're on Monty Hall, and God, I hate this damn map so much. I just hate it. I just want it to burn and burn and burn. And again, you know, it's lame. It's absolutely ridiculously moronic that we're going to have the deciding matchup of yet another Zerg game on Monty Hall. We saw Savior go out on Monty Hall. We've seen Gorash suffer because of Monty Hall, and now Jaedong is going to probably meet the same fate at the hands of Monty Hall. And what is it going to take for those guys over in Korea to realize that this is a bad map, that they should not include it in the map pool for Zerg versus Terran? It's just ridiculous. It's like, you know, you're giving a free point to one of the players before the match even starts. And I'm okay, countdown starting up, guys. Countdown. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. And I'm all for, okay, just to resume my rant on Monty Hall, you know, you're giving a free win. What's the point of having a best of 3? You might as well say okay, if the non-Zerg wins 1 game out of 3, they can go through. It's ridiculous. Anyway, let's see what Jaedong can come up with here. Maybe he'll try and adapt Silver's unique and inspirational strategy that Silver used versus Boxer as well as versus versus Shine. But you've got to say that Boxer has really looked off-kilter this season. Well, not necessarily this season, but in the last 5 or 6 games that he's played and lost, he just hasn't looked in form. He just hasn't looked at peak performance. And, you know, obviously there's a factor of him not getting enough practice and all that. But despite that, his decision-making, to me, has been poor on numerous occasions recently. And his overall play has also left something to be desired. So, obviously we're not going to have that issue from C. And just in terms of starting position, C is in yellow, starting up at the top left at 11 o'clock. And Jaedong is in white, starting at the bottom right at 5 o'clock. And these are virtually identical positions to the ones we saw in Hitchhiker. Excuse me. And Jaedong has to be kicking himself. And, you know, it'll be interesting to see how he can bounce back in terms of confidence. He was obviously full of confidence, perhaps a little bit overconfident, a little bit complacent in his game versus C because of his dominant victory versus Boxer. Obviously he felt very good about beating Boxer today earlier, and that win was on, I can't remember actually what map that was on. That was on Python, sorry. That was on Python. Again, I felt Boxer threw that game away. He was ahead after that bunker rush at the start, and he threw that game away. But anyway, so it'll be interesting to see what sort of strategy Jaedong employs to combat the imbalance of Monty Hall. It looks like he's sending a drone up that middle lane, and he's just setting up a hatchery there. So Jaedong going for a fairly standard strategy, not scouting at all. And C doesn't look like he's going for any sort of rush build. And just as I say that, he sends 2 SCVs out. Just as I say that, C sends 2 SCVs down the middle lane. So it'll be interesting to see if he's going to fast expand here through that mineral line, or if he's just doing this to scout to counter that kind of Silver build that we've seen in this game before. And I'm not sure, I can't really, the resolution's crap for those posters. So C's got that SCV through anyway, so that's giving him a scout. It looks like he is setting up a command center there, and C going for the fast expand as well. So if Jaedong should be able to scout this with his Overlord, and Jaedong is actually sending another drone through, and Jaedong going for the triple hatchery, and this might help Jaedong a little bit because of the fact that he's gone for those expansions in the middle lane. It means he's going to be able to mine those minerals quite quickly and reveal that middle line, open up that middle line, and he might be able to send some early Zerglings through potentially before C can get some defense in. And if he can do that, and if he can hurt and turns. But as I was saying, okay, it's back now, and I'm just looking at the spawning pool being clicked on as its health is going up, as it's being built. So C putting up that refinery, so C looks like he's going to be teching quite soon, and this means that C is not going to have a lot of units early on in the game, because he's opting to A, expand, and B, tech. So that's obviously going to mean that he's not going to have a lot of medic and marines. And Jaedong now, he needs to scout this, and Jaedong's Overlord, I just don't understand what he's doing. His Overlord is actually going to float past that middle lane and possibly miss that command center. Obviously the fact that it is in the air might mean that he might still be able to see it. Am I stream buffering? And I'll tell you what I'm seeing now in a second. I'm just seeing C mining that refinery, and I'm just seeing the fans now, and that weird handwritten poster being held up. So and we're back now, and that Overlord should see that command center, and unfortunately for Jaedong, that path is now open. That path is open into the base, but Jaedong with 3 hatcheries could go for a 3-hatch Ling attack here, and C wouldn't have much to cope with it, and Jaedong has to realize this. C is now sending that SCV down, and he's going to see what Jaedong has, and Jaedong has opened up a path in that mineral line. I think a 3-hatch Ling attack could be immensely successful here, because C, even though he's put up that refinery, he's not going to have anything in terms of troops on the ground. He's putting up that factory though. I suppose with that factory, he's going to have vultures out pretty soon, and those vultures obviously will wreak havoc with Jaedong's Lings, and Jaedong needs to scout that, and Jaedong once again not having as much scouting information as he would like, and In the last game, that was his undoing. He was completely unprepared for that rush. He saw it coming. He did have a little bit of an advance warning with that advanced overlord that he had positioned well above the middle lane, but it wasn't enough. And obviously he's putting up his lair now. And I think Jaedong does have a little bit of a chance in this game because of the fact that he's not going to be under any pressure from C early on. So he's not going to be forced to expend too many resources to counter the possibility of a vulture sneaking through and hurting his economy. And C now going for two factories, so it does look like C might actually be going for mass Goliaths here, figuring that Jaedong has got going for that early lair, and Jaedong is going to be getting, and Jaedong just kills off that SCV. And I think C has figured out that Jaedong might be going for mass Mutalisk here with that 3 hatchery build. The problem for Jaedong, however, is that with that, even though he's gone for a 3 hatch build, he only has 2 gas, so it's a pretty standard game thus far, except for the fact that he's not going to have the maneuverability and flanking of normal map, and that vulture is coming down for C. Jaedong just flanking his Zerglings around that, the feeling that he might be able to do some damage here, and this might be a mistake by Jaedong here, not having a sunken or anything, and that it's going to be, and Jaedong's Zerglings are going in now. Jaedong actually has gone for a lot of Zerglings from those 3 hatcheries, and those Marines are going to get caught completely off guard. C caught off guard. He's going to have another vulture out in a second, but Jaedong is catching those Marines off guard. He's in C's main now. If he can kill off some of these SCVs, he might be able to do a lot of damage here. He's got reinforcements pouring through in terms of Zerglings. That vulture is doing his best to fight, and CGG's, oh my god, that's ridiculous. Just out of nowhere, out of the blue, CGG. There was no need to do that. He had 2 factories. He could have had another couple of vultures out. He could have defended that. But Jaedong doing what I wanted him to do, which is go in for the Zerglings from the 3 hatcheries, and he did catch C off guard. As I said, C committed himself to being weak militarily in terms of getting that expansion, as well as getting that... as well as going for a tech build, going for those factories without getting any Marines up. If he had a couple more barracks up, he probably would have had a better chance of standing that defense. Again, I think the fact of the matter is, I don't think this says anything for the balance of Monty Hall. Luck played a huge factor in that matchup, an absolutely massive factor. The fact that both players went for expansions in the middle lane is what decided the outcome of that match. Because had they not gone for that, had Jaedong's expansion been in a different lane, he would not have cleared that mineral line so early, and that would have given C a lot more time in terms of getting up his defense. Had C not gone for the middle lane, he wouldn't have cleared those mineral lines, and he wouldn't have, Jaedong wouldn't have been able to get straight into C's main like that. So I think those two are absolutely massive factors in deciding the outcome of this match, and it absolutely underpins to a huge extent the importance of scouting before setting up that expansion for Terran. C going with the risk, and it didn't pay off for him.